Now I'll walk you through the steps to complete your report and submit it through our online grants portal. Just the high-level steps on what you're going to do. First, recommend you identify the team that will be completing the online report. Step 2, make sure everyone on your team has access to log in. Start this early. Don't wait until the last day to request your access to the portal. So you'll get your username and a password, then you will log into the grants portal. You'll locate the RFP site that you'll be working on, so either the education, jobs, or safety net reporting sites. One time you'll start a new report form. You'll then enter information into that report form. You can return and add additional information, save, keep working later until you're done, and then at the end you'll submit that completed report. All right, prepare to log in. Step 1, we recommend, if at all possible, you use Internet Explorer as your browser. We use Microsoft SharePoint as the foundation for our grants portal, and their SharePoint tool works best with their Internet Explorer browser. So if you notice any funky formatting, anything like that, the first thing we'll recommend is that you switch over and use Internet Explorer if at all possible. Otherwise, Firefox, Google Chrome, Safari should generally work. Expanded multi-line text boxes is one area where we notice some of those other browsers have trouble in how they build those forms. I would say, again, if you're able to use Internet Explorer, that would be best. But I'll also point out that if you do notice your text boxes aren't expanding, the information is in the system. We have access to it and can read it fully. So don't worry about that. All right, so if you've ever logged into our grants portal, you have an account most likely and should be able to get back in, either if you know the password or you can use the forgot password to reset it if you need to. Otherwise, if you've never logged in before, we do have right here the link to our grants access page, and I'll walk through that here in a moment, where to go to request access. If you've submitted an access request, or if you're resetting your email with the forgot password tool, look for an email from support@gtcuw.org with a subject like this. That's going to have your initial password for the portal. If you want to, you can change that password later on. All right, once you have that, you're going to go then to grantsproposal.unitedwaytwincities.org and use your email address as your username and that password that you were sent to get into the reporting subsite. And with that, I'm going to flip over and we're going to take a walk through a couple of the different sites where you will be going to complete your annual report. I'll start out here on our general GTCUW.org website and point out the For Nonprofits link all the way up at the top. On this page here, about halfway down the page, there is a link to our nonprofit portal. Where we've begun accumulating different resources for U.S. funded agencies and for other organizations who receive designation payouts from United Way or those interested in funding from us. So major sections here, we've got links to funding opportunities. The grantee reporting resources is going to have a subpage here on annual reports. There's lots of information here on annual reports, a link to the portal to actually begin your report, a link to request a new user account if you or someone else at your organization needs an account, information on training, and then FAQ documents on the various goal areas. The program managers put a lot of work in these. There's lots of helpful information on completing your reports there. Again, if you or someone else at your organization needs to request a new user account, we have a request form here to complete. Go ahead and fill in all the information on yourself, on your organization, so that we can get you connected into the right organization in our system. And once you submit that request, generally those get filled within a business day or two. So don't wait until the very end before reports are due before you request your access. Make sure that you have an account and can get into the system early on so that you'll have lots of time to get your report filled out. Back on the annual reports page then, we do have a link here to access the grants portal, and that will take you to the sign-in page. On the sign-in page, if you've ever logged into the portal before, you can go ahead and use the username and password that you have to get in. If you don't recall what the password is, there is a forgot username here that'll ask you the username that you might have used, your email address, and it will generate a new password to be sent directly to you. So if you suspect that somewhere along the line you did have an account or you accessed the portal, feel free to just use that. You can reset your own password immediately. You won't have to wait for us to complete that new account setup form. So plug in your username and password there, and then we're going to click the login button. And this is going to take us just to the top level of the grants portal. So your account, you should see the information that is accessible to your parent account. So this test account here I happen to have tied to Big Brothers Big Sisters. So we see a link to some general documents for them. Contact information here for our staff on the left. And then what we're looking for now is the reporting subsites section right here. So find the grant that you are looking to report out on, and we're going to jump right to that reporting subsite. And if this is the first time you've been there, you want to click the Start a New Agency Report or Start a New Annual Report link right there, and that'll take you into the form. So the first time through, you will need to select your organization from the list and then save. And then, because some organizations may be completing multiple reports, select the program that you're reporting on, click Save. If all of that looks good, one time we'll create the new report. Now at this point, all of the report questions have been generated. You should see the information on the report relevant to your program. So within education, for example, different organizations have different programs in different sub areas, and there are different indicators, different outcomes that you'll be reporting out on. So before you'll be able to see the rest of the report or say print it off to work offline, you will need to select your organization name and that program name and click Create. Now at this point, if I were to leave the report and go back to that education main page, I'll see here's the one that I just created. I will see that my report now exists in the system, and later on I could come back in here and open up that report and view it there. Continue to provide new information here. As you're working through this is an online system, so we definitely recommend that you save as you go along. As you're working through this, we definitely recommend that you save things as you go along. There are save buttons throughout the form. When you hit that, you should be taken right to this confirmation message indicating that your application's been saved and that you can jump back and continue working. If you receive any error messages, look through the error message. A lot of times it indicates that there's maybe a field that was required that isn't filled in. Those will be marked with the red asterisk. If you complete those fields, try again and save. It should save things for you. Otherwise, feel free to contact our support desk at right here, support@gtcuw.org, or by phone, and we can provide assistance there as well. As you're working through the form, once you have all of your information provided, one time at the very end, you're going to check that box here, and then you can see the submit button. Again, we highly recommend that you save your report one time before you submit, just in case there's any issues in the submit that we'll be able to recover the saved copy. But otherwise, we're going to click that submit. And at that point, I'm bounced back out to the main page, and I can see that my draft report there is listed as submitted. A few tips then as you're working through your report. Again, this is an online system. We recommend that you save frequently as you go along. If you would like, we do have users who will work offline in Microsoft Word or Notepad, something along those lines, to draft their answers, save them right to their computer so that you're not working all the time saving online. We recommend that. It's a great way to go, but just understand that if you have formatting in your Word document, if you have things bolded, underlined, italics, bullet points, that type of formatting won't carry across to the online form. We recommend using the scroll bar to navigate through the application, just in case you happen to have your cursor in a drop-down menu where the arrow keys may change the value. So I mentioned earlier that I recommend that any staff person who's accessing the portal have their own account, and that every staff person can see the same form. So you can have multiple staff working in the form, that's fine, but be careful that you don't have them working in there at the same time. The form system's not quite as smart as something like Google Docs, where you'll see each other's changes. So if two people open up the form and it's mostly blank, whoever saves second, whatever their form looks like at that point, that's what's going to be saved to the system. So there is the potential for two people to overwrite each other's work. So for that reason, we recommend generally maybe have a schedule if you're going to have multiple people working in the form, or just route all of your content changes through one person. And then to the same degree, if you're going to have a schedule and working in the report at the same or at different times, just make sure that you close out of the report when you're not actively working in it. Just to reiterate again, the issue potentially with multiple people working in the form. In this example here, we have Susan who opens a relatively blank application here at 8:07, and Carl who opens the same application 7 minutes later. If Susan goes through and fills out 2 narrative questions and saves at 8:24, the version of the report that Carl's been working in here is unaware of those changes. So if he were to go through and complete the budget section, when he saves, the only thing saved here at 8:38 is going to be the changes that Carl made. So it is possible for us to go back and recover those changes that Susan made that were overwritten, but it'll be a little bit of trouble, and it'll be stressful on your part if you're not seeing those changes that were saved. So again, either route your changes through one person, or just have a schedule so that multiple people aren't working at the exact same time. All right, then once all of your fields are completed, once you've done your internal reviews and made sure that your executive director approves of your report, we're going to do that submit just one time, and back on the RFP subsite, you should see a status of submitted next to your report indicating that you're all done.